welcome to Renfrewshire Libraries in conversation with Football Heroes author Matt Oldfield. Let's kick off with Paul Pogba. Great, Matt. So, in your story about Paul Pogba, we begin as he's a young boy, this marauding midfielder that we all know today, but his first influence was a certain World Cup winner in 1998.
Absolutely, yeah. So as a 5-year-old boy living in Paris, he this was his first big experience of football, and obviously the tournament World Cup '98 was happening in France. So for the influence that this had on a whole generation of French kids is incredible, because this team goes all the way to glory. And I think it was a team where there wasn't really, I guess a lot of kids sometimes love strikers, but it wasn't really a team that had that many exciting strikers. But what it did have was this amazing midfield, and sort of different elements. So it had the kind of defensive work of Didier Deschamps, who would go on to become the manager. You had Patrick Vieira, who was a bit more of a kind of moving all the from box to box kind of thing. But then you also had Zinedine Zidane, who was the kind of the linchpin, the central piece to it all, who obviously scored the 2 headers in the World Cup final against Brazil. And this was the guy that, Pogba, watching him play, he, as probably millions of French kids thought, he wanted to be the next Pogba. And then kind of as his career went on, I think he became a bit more than, we always think of him as this kind of all-round midfielder who could do the kind of defensive work a bit more like Deschamps or like Makelele, who came a bit later, but had all this skill and the passing range of someone like Zidane. So he could do it all, which is so he became the under-16 French captain, and then obviously those kind of, once you become that level, you attract the interest of all of these massive clubs, and so Manchester United came along.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Matt, yes, Paul Pogba, he became like a go-to talent. So there was so many like top European clubs after him. But as you say, it was Manchester United and Sir Alex Ferguson who paid a home visit.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many stories actually of Ferguson doing this kind of stuff. I suppose at that time, Manchester United were already probably the biggest club in the world. So to a certain extent, maybe with most players, you could probably, that would be enough to get them. But when it came to those situations where there were so many top clubs chasing these kids, so often Ferguson would do that kind of personal touch. He would go and visit the family, spend time with them, really show that he cared and wanted to offer more than just money in a football team, but that support, because obviously Pogba was still a young player at that time, and so he managed to persuade the whole Pogba family that this was a move that made sense.
Fast forward a few years, Matt, and obviously he's now back at Manchester United, but life didn't go according to plan at Manchester United to begin with, and we had a career at Juventus.
Yeah, it was a strange one. I mean, there's this kind of famous game, I think it was against Blackburn Rovers, where Pogba was basically in the academy at Manchester United. He was excelling. He was brilliant, and he was part of that generation with Jesse Lingard and Ravel Morrison, who won the Youth Cup, and so everyone just expected him to progress straight into the United first team, but it didn't really happen. And there was this match against Blackburn Rovers where I think Ferguson ended up playing with sort of 3 defenders in midfield instead of playing Pogba. And I think for Pogba, that was the moment where he just had enough. And so he ended up going to Juventus instead, where he obviously became a huge success straight away and went straight into their first team, played lots of matches, won the Italian league titles, and became this top player, who then ended up coming back to Manchester United.
Pogback.
Pogback, indeed, yeah. I mean, the social media campaigns around Pogba, even at Euro 2016 and the 2018 World Cup, he knows what he's doing with social media.
Thanks, Matt. So that's the final whistle has blown. So thank you again to Matt for sharing an insight into the research, writing and story of Paul Pogba.